Thank you for joining us. I am Kevin Hensel. We're happy you can be here. We have the opportunity to talk to State Representative Josh Shapiro. Thank you for joining us as well.
Good to be with you, Kevin.
Well, one of the major issues before legislators now, and really looking into the future many years, will be Marcellus Shale drilling and the impact it will have on our state, the economy, and the environment. Bring us up to date on where it is and some of the things you are looking at.
Absolutely. And Kevin, for those people who are at home who are not as familiar with this issue, we sit on top of more natural gas in the state of Pennsylvania than some suggest any other state, and there's some major gas-producing states out there. The question is, how is that natural gas extracted from beneath the ground? And it's done through a process where you drill down nearly a mile and you use water from our rivers and streams to kind of shoot down the drill hole and use the water to separate the shale, and then you extract the natural gas. And it's pretty understandable technology that's used, and it's been used in many places. The problem here in Pennsylvania is that as a result of this fracking process, a lot of times the water that is contaminated is dumped back in our rivers and streams before it's cleaned properly. A lot of land is being raised and cleared and ruined as a result of drilling. A big part of our infrastructure is getting damaged by virtue of these big rigs coming in and bringing their heavy equipment in. And, you know, while all of those things are understandable in a drilling process, the problem right now is, Kevin, is that the average taxpayer, the average Pennsylvanian, is paying to clean all that stuff up. And the drillers are taking all that natural gas, they're leaving the state, and they're not paying us a dime for the cleanup efforts. And I don't know, Kim, when I talk to people throughout Montgomery County, where I represent, and across the state about this issue, they kind of scratch their heads and wonder, wait a second, why should I pay for the drillers? And we can't allow that to continue. We've got some efforts underway here in the legislature to correct that balance and tip it more toward the gas drillers and away from putting the burden on taxpayers.
Well, and one of the things that makes this interesting is the technology has advanced recently in the last decade or two that really makes this a possibility. We've known it's there, but now we have the opportunity to really get it, and it's kind of created a gold rush. Well, what are some of the proposals that you think are the right direction to go to make drillers pay their fair share?
Well, we need to ask the drillers through the Commonwealth to pay for the infrastructure damage that they create, to pay to clean up the environmental damage, and to also be in a position to help us deal with any emergencies that occur as a result of the drilling. You know, in every other state where they have significant amounts of natural gas where this drilling occurs, there's something known as a severance tax. This is a fee that the drillers pay, not the taxpayers, the drillers pay. And in fact, in Sarah Palin's Alaska and in George W. Bush's Texas, they have a severance tax because they don't want their taxpayers in Alaska or Texas paying for the cleanup. They want the drillers to pay. Well, here in Pennsylvania, we ought to have a severance tax as well. We passed it twice in the House of Representatives. Twice it went over to the Senate, and twice the Senate killed it. I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong that the Senate leadership opted to protect the gas drilling industry and instead punish the taxpayers. Kevin, I got to tell you, you know, we've talked a lot on these programs about government reform and my efforts to try and clean up Harrisburg. I've talked a lot about the need for campaign finance reform. The Marcellus Shale issue is a perfect example of why we need campaign finance reform. Why? Because these gas drillers have given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the leadership and the members of the state Senate, and ultimately their voice was heard in the process more than the average Pennsylvanian. And when the special interests like these gas drillers dominate the discussion in the halls of the Capitol, we're all in trouble. So we need real campaign finance reform to combat this type of lobbying by the gas drillers. But most importantly, in the short term, we need to make the drillers pay for the damage that they create, not the taxpayers.
Well, certainly, Governor-elect Corbett has said he's opposed to a severance tax, but are you hoping efforts like yours to really push the issue, as well as when he gets in here and sees the situation for what it is, there might be momentum for that effort?
I hope there is momentum, and I hope the governor-elect rethinks his position. I know he understands the significant environmental damage that's being created. Heck, he went out and campaigned on the fact that as Attorney General, he's protected the environment. And taking him at his word, he would then want, as governor, I think, to continue to protect the environment. And as he does that, he ought to think about, rethink his approach to dealing with what the gas drillers pay and what the average Pennsylvania taxpayer pays. I think if he views it that way and reconsiders his position, he would agree with me that the drillers ought to pay, not the average Pennsylvanian.
Yeah, another major issue when it comes to Marcellus Shale drilling is protecting our state forest. And certainly the House has tried to do that, but again, the Senate blocked that effort.
We passed a moratorium on drilling on state lands, and ultimately the Senate failed to enact that as well. Governor Rendell signed an executive order just a few weeks ago. And while that's a good step, unfortunately only lasts as long as he is governor. And Governor Corbett has indicated he would not continue such a moratorium.
Are you going to continue to focus on these issues when the legislature returns in January?
No question. The Marcellus Shale issue is a key issue. I'll be fighting this fight, and I think it's something that a lot of Pennsylvanians ought to tune in about and care about. This is a major issue that will redefine the economy and unfortunately could undermine the environment here in Pennsylvania. We've got to stand up and be vigilant on that effort.
Well, we hope you'll come back and tell us what happens and explain the issues again in the next few months.
Sure will.
Representative Josh Shapiro, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.